was 16 when a stranger saved my life. It was raining heavily, and I had missed the last school bus. My phone battery was dead, and my parents were out of town. The only way home was a city bus that passed through an old highway surrounded by forests. The bus was nearly empty. There was an old woman sleeping near the front, a man in a business suit staring out the window, and a hooded stranger sitting in the very back. Every few minutes, I noticed the stranger looking at me. At first, I ignored it. Then I realized he wasn't looking at me. He was looking behind me. Every time I turned around, nobody was there. After 30 minutes, the bus stopped in the middle of nowhere. The driver stood up and announced that the bus had broken down. Everyone groaned. The old woman woke up. The businessman immediately called someone. The hooded stranger stood up and walked toward me. My heart started racing. He leaned close and whispered, "Don't get off this bus." Before I could ask why, he walked away. The driver opened the doors. Everyone began leaving. The businessman got off first, then the old woman. Soon only me and the stranger remained. "Why shouldn't I leave?" I asked. The stranger looked pale. "Because the man waiting outside isn't the driver." My stomach dropped. "What?" The stranger pointed through the foggy window. The driver was standing near the road, but another man wearing the exact same uniform was approaching the bus. Both men looked identical. One of them smiled. The stranger grabbed my arm. "Lock the door." I immediately slammed the emergency lock. The fake driver began banging on the glass. His smile disappeared. Then his face twisted into pure anger. The stranger whispered, "I knew he'd find me eventually." "Who is he?" "My brother." The fake driver suddenly pulled something from his pocket. Not a weapon, a photograph. He pressed it against the window. The picture showed the stranger, and next to him was me. My blood turned cold. "Why am I in that photo?" The stranger looked horrified. "Because that's a picture from tomorrow." Story 2. The Locked Hotel Room. When I was 19, I worked at a small hotel. One night, a guest checked into room 307. Nothing seemed unusual. Until midnight, the guest called the front desk. "Someone is standing in my bathroom." I laughed nervously. "Sir, are you sure?" "I'm looking at him right now." The call disconnected. Security checked the room. Nobody was there. At 2 a.m., he called again. "The man is back." Security rushed upstairs. Again, nobody. By 4 a.m., the guest was screaming. "He keeps getting closer every time I blink." Police arrived. The room was searched completely. Nothing. Finally, an officer examined the bathroom mirror. Then his face turned white. The mirror wasn't a mirror. It was a two-way glass panel. There was a hidden room behind it. The police broke through the wall. Inside, they found food wrappers, water bottles, a sleeping bag, and hundreds of photographs. Every single guest who had stayed in room 307 for the past 5 years. The guest looked through the photos. Then he suddenly stopped breathing. The officer grabbed the picture from his hands. The photo had been taken earlier that night, while he was asleep. Someone had been standing directly over his bed, watching him. Story 3. The Voice on the Baby Monitor. My parents thought our baby monitor was malfunctioning. Every night at exactly 3:13 a.m., a voice whispered, "He's not your son." My father blamed radio interference. My mother blamed faulty wiring. But the voice kept returning. "He's not your son." One night, Dad stayed awake to prove it was fake. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the monitor crackled. Then came the voice, clear as day. "He's not your son." Dad ran into my room. I was asleep. Nobody else was there. The next night, he installed cameras. At 3:13 a.m., every camera shut off. except one. The camera facing my crib. The footage showed something impossible. A woman standing beside me, looking directly into the camera. Then she leaned down and whispered into my ear. The next morning, police investigated. Using the image from the footage, my mother's face turned pale instantly. She recognized the woman. It was her sister. The sister who had disappeared 20 years earlier. The sister nobody knew was still alive. And according to the records, she was actually my biological mother. Story 4. The last online friend I met, Alex, while playing video games online. We played together every night for 2 years. But there was one rule. No cameras, no phone calls, no real names. One day, Alex sent me a message. "I think someone is living in my attic." I laughed. He didn't. Over the next week, strange noises appeared on his microphone. Footsteps, scratching, whispers. Then one night, he suddenly screamed. The call disconnected. I never heard from him again. Months later, I finally convinced police to check his address. The house was empty, covered in dust. Nobody had lived there for years. The officer found a computer upstairs, still running, still logged into our chat. And the final message Alex ever typed. "If you're reading this, don't answer the next message." At that exact moment, my phone buzzed. A new notification appeared. From Alex. Active now. "Hey, buddy." I finally got out of the attic. To be continued.